Hello, hello, global citizens and changemakers. It is your host, Catherine Longy, here from Future TV, back with another amazing episode. Welcome to The Future is Now, from possibility to reality. And today we're in conversation with Dr. Bremley Lyngdoh, who is the founder and CEO of Ecofriend World and is a fellow citizen change maker, who I wonderfully discovered a few months ago, even though our paths, we'd run in the same circles for actually decades. And really grateful for our journeys to join up now, Bremley. So for me, who you are is someone who really cares about the world and is out there actively making a difference, which is why we've dubbed this segment Citizen Change Makers, because when you hear Bremley's story, although some extraordinary things happened along the way, he's a guy like all of us who decided, you know what, my life is a little bit bigger than just about me. I think I've got enough for me. What really juices me, what really lights me up is making a difference to people and planet, which you are a massive, massive stand for. So Bremley, over to you. Tell us a little bit about you, who you are, what you're a stand for, and why did you say yes to come on Future TV today?
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Catherine, for having me on board Future TV, which is from possibility to reality. That's what we're all about here. It's not just about talk, but it's also about walking our talk and acting on what we preach to the world. So, like Gandhi said, you have to be the change yourself personally for what you want to see in the world. Unless you do that, no one is going to take you seriously, and you're going to be just talk and hot air. So having said that, my journey started from the foothills of the eastern Himalayas in northeast India, from a small hill state in the provinces of northeast India, that region. It's called Meghalaya, which in Sanskrit translate to where the clouds come home. So there's a particular village in my state which has the Guinness Book of World Record for having the maximum rainfall per year on the planet, about 55 feet a year. I think one of the islands in Hawaii is second, but they go back and forth. But that's a lot of water, like billions and billions of gallons every summer during the monsoon season. Trickles down through our ecosystems in the highlands on the foothills of the eastern Himalayas. So having said that, obviously, there are lots of issues that we've been working on in my part of the world with concerns to extraction of fossil fuels, minerals, and forests, clear cutting, unsustainable practice of agriculture, losing topsoil from large scale of felling and deforestation, the nexus of poverty and environment. When people are poor, they are more dependent on environmental resources, and when they chop down the trees for whatever, fuel, wood, fire, or charcoal, or survival, and when there are no trees left, they are the ones to suffer the most when big storms and floods and hurricanes come, because there are mudslides and so on. And I also come from that part of the world where the tectonic plates are still very active and have been moving, because the Himalayas are still growing taller each year, with the Indian plate hitting the Tibetan plate. So, the ranges keep growing, and we have very active earthquakes off and on, as you've seen over the years. So that part of the world, the Himalayas, are the third largest concentration of fresh water body on the planet. The first is the Arctic and the Antarctic, and the second are the Himalayas. But they are the youngest range that are still growing, as I've mentioned. They are the tallest range. All the 8 tallest peaks are in that part of the world. And they're the longest range, stretching from Afghanistan to the Burmese border, or across 7 countries. So why we're focusing in that part of the world, Catherine, is because over the last 3 decades, our glaciers have been melting, according to NASA and European Space Agency satellites. And there are many rivers that depend on those glaciers, the survival of 2 billion people in that basin, in that ecosystem of Southeast Asia, which includes Nepal, Bhutan, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Myanmar, and China
Yeah.
border. If all those glaciers were to melt, 2 billion people would suffer in the next decade or two.
So,
Huge.
Bremley, because you've shared your homeland with me and I've seen pictures, and it's just, when you see the pictures, you're like, I can't even believe it's like heaven on earth. Like, this is such a beautiful place. Tell us about the moment, the wake up moment for you, because you've lived in New York, you've made the UK your home. You're sitting in your eco-friendly gym in West London right now. What was the moment when you started connecting all of the dots between your homeland and the systemic, what you saw in the West, and all of the systemic issues that you were like, oh my God, we got to do something about this?
Well, it all started in school, really, and but when we were very young, my father used to take me for long walks in our ancient sacred clan forest, which is the Lyngdoh Sacred Forest in my ancestral village of Mauplang. And this forest is about 75 hectares, and the trees there have been around for more than 1,000 years and continue to grow till now, which is pretty awesome. And yeah, the inspiration came from him about taking care of our ecosystems, our forests, and walking the talk and protecting sacred forests just like those in our clan, because other clans still have them too. And there was a big cyclone that happened in my part of the world, in Bangladesh, when I was in fifth grade. It was 1985. And the teachers in my school asked all the students to help raise money for these victims in Bangladesh. And we were part of that campaign. And I helped reach out to my community, and we were able to raise a lot of money, but also food, clothes, shoes, and medical products that we sent to Bangladesh. And that inspiration came from school, from the teachers, from my dad. And it was awesome to get recognition at that early age and understand the global impact of what we're doing affects many people around the world. So it was a great learning experience to see the connection between forests and floods and storms and hurricanes from that early age.
Yeah, that's really extraordinary. I can't say from growing up in the US. Yes, I had experiences of like doing charity or volunteering in soup kitchens, but not to that scale where people have experienced tremendous tragedy and you're directly helping resolve the suffering of that tragedy. So tell us, so from a young age, you really got how big a difference you can make, the power of collective community. Tell us about the time you first kind of went out on your own, you know, your first creation, your first initiative, where, you know, from the bottom of your heart and what you want for the planet and humanity, you took those first steps to organize your community and your people on your own back, separate from what you were plugged into locally.
Yeah, can you just get a little bit of water? Because I think something is
Yeah, absolutely.
long. It's been a long journey. 1 second.
No worries. So Bremley, tell us about the first time you went out kind of on your own, your first initiative of change making outside of that beautiful school and education that you got as a child.
Yes, so in 1995, I had won this essay competition award from the UN Environment Program, and I was asked to present an ongoing project. I was working in India, in the western part of India, close to the border with Pakistan, where we were restoring deserts in between 1993 to 1996 in the Pushkar Valley ecosystem. To prevent desertification from happening and big sandstorms blowing into big cities like Delhi and so on from thousands of miles, like what's happening in China. So this project was funded by the US government and the World Bank back then and implemented by the consortium of young scientists for sustainable development that I was part of. and I had written this proposal and was asked to present our model at San Francisco in the University of California in Berkeley. So it was really awesome to meet other young leaders from around the world who were doing their bachelor's degrees, doing their own research and scientific projects in their respective communities. And it was an eye-opening because we were there in one of the top private public universities in the world. UC Berkeley is one of the best. It has its own faculty working on forest science and climate in those days. Really fell in love with it. But meeting these colleagues from more than 100 plus countries working for a week as part of the Global Youth Forum of the UN Environment Program was really awesome. And when that was done, I was asked to also go for the 50th anniversary celebration at the United Nations in New York. So a stopover in New York where I met the leader of the opposition, who later became Prime Minister of India, Atal Bihari Vajpayee. And he was there representing India in the 50th anniversary celebration, and did ask me what was I doing there with all the young people at the United Nations, the celebration of the 50th anniversary. And I presented our work at New York at the headquarters too, and asked other youth ambassadors from 190 member states of the UN to do the same when they go back to their communities and look at how to protect ecosystems such as forests, wetlands, coastal ecosystems, cloud forests, rainforests, and also plant trees where desertification is happening to prevent massive sandstorms, as what was happening in Rajasthan and other countries around the world. So that was a great eye-opener to see other young people from other countries of my age doing their part, not waiting for governments and policymakers and politicians, but taking action by themselves through their schools and colleges and universities to walk their talk and build an alliance at a global scale. So that was awesome. It really inspired me to go back and do even more, because by this time I had invited research scholars from the UK and from the US, from Canada, to come and do their PhD in India, in Rajasthan, at the Pushkar Lake Valley ecosystem, and look at technologies we can use to build sand dunes and put water on the top, and put drought-resistant plants to recreate soils over time before we make the desert green again. So that was epic. It was awesome. Yeah. So I started in '95.
So, Bremley, let's go to the trees now. Your passion and your love for the trees and what you've created with Ecofriend World. So I know you're on a mission to plant 1 billion trees, and you're halfway there, but it's not just about trees. It's strategically planting them and nurturing them in the parts of the world that are going to make the biggest difference to holding off climate change. So tell us a bit about that creation and what, the setup of your organization.
Yeah, so this large-scale restoration of ecosystem didn't just happen 10 years ago. It started more than 25 years ago. Before I even went to UNEP in 1995, I was doing restoration from 5th grade, from 1985, 10 years before I even left India for the United States. So it's not just me planting. I just mobilize friends and recruit people, even like yourself. No man can do this alone. It's an epic project for a lifetime with thousands of organizations and partners and millions of people around the world, where you mobilize and energize on a daily basis to do their part just by a call to action. There's no way you can plant that amount of trees alone. So I would say over the last 25 years, since we've engaged projects with my colleagues from the Global Youth Action Network in New York, which has a network of 5,000 youth organizations in 195 countries, like the UN itself. We have created a platform called Global Youth Service Day back in 2000 with Benjamin Quinto, my co-founder, and Jonah Whitcamper from the United States. And every year, in partnership with Youth Service America in Washington, D.C., we mobilized 5 million young people in 175 countries to go out and take action in their communities, whether they're digging holes to plant trees, helping to serve soup in homeless shelters, working with farmers, agrarian communities, every year, all year round, in 175 countries. 5 million people mobilized globally. And we're going to do this again this year in April. Every year it happens in April for 3 days in 175 plus countries. But obviously we are not involved directly in coordinating that project anymore. It has a movement of its own, and it's being coordinated by our partners from the United States. But we were active in building that for the last 10 years, from 2000 to 2010, before I moved to the United Kingdom. So these young people that we were mentoring 25 years ago are now leaders in their own countries. Either they are politicians in their parliaments, either they're diplomats, either they're leading their NGOs, either they're leading private sector. So there's no way I can quantify everything, but I can say over the last 25 years, we have reached halfway point because we work in 175 countries. But right now we are engaged with another alliance called CBA, which is the Biodiversity Biocircular Alliance, mobilizing another 400 million trees to be planted in the next 5 years in 6 continents of the world. And I'm doing that in India and in Kenya with local partners and farmers, including the Hill Farmers Union in India and Highland Farmers in Western Kenya. But through Ecofriend World, which was created back in 2016 when I was invited as a speaker, called Beyond the Podium on board Celebrity Equinox, which is one of the cruise ship owned by a US company, with 3,000 Americans on board. I was asked to speak and give lectures to them for an entire 2 weeks, so they couldn't run away from me. And together I was able to get those American passengers to calculate the total ecological impact and footprint of each passenger sailing across from the United States to Spain by Portugal. And it came out to 10 tons each per passenger for that 2 weeks. So the amount of impact they were creating on a 2 weeks transatlantic journey on a cruise ship was 10 tons each. That was a lot. So when they found out that that was their impact alone per passenger, they said, what can we do? I said, well, you can plant some trees in our project in Myanmar that we were collaborating with local farmers. And that's where Ecofriend World was born, on board that ship on the 5th deck, which is the Earth deck, a big tree. And all these American passengers were engaged, and they said, let's talk to Celebrity Equinox and Celebrity Cruise, Caribbean Cruise, to measure the ecological footprint of all their ships in their fleet worldwide, because the cruise industry has a big impact on all the ocean marine ecosystems wherever they cruise, all the junk that they throw into the deep ocean. Nobody knows. But I was able to use this experiment on these passengers on board my ship for 2 weeks and make them think differently. So that's where it started. And I'm happy to report that through that platform, and with the help of our farmers in Myanmar, we now have 5 projects that have restored about 100 million trees in the last decade, more than a decade, because we started in 2012. And it's a difficult country to work in right now because it's back in a military dictatorship and regime, but we continue to help and support those farmers who are off the grid. But now we're collaborating with other countries to scale up mangrove restoration, and we have a potential of helping farmers in 120 countries around the world to plant billions and billions of trees a year, because we need to protect them as the first line of defense with these mangrove trees that can block and save lives from storms and hurricanes and tsunamis, while also producing fish for these low-lying communities living by the sea in small island states and low-lying areas around the equator. So they are the miracle trees indeed. I've fallen in love with mangrove trees. They're the best.
So I think it's important to summarize this story because of how powerful it is. So for anyone watching who's thinking, oh my God, where would you even start to plant 1 billion trees? Bremley's given you the how things start and how things grow. So it starts with one tree, but it starts with people. So the students you mobilized, they're like, I heard like 5,000, or was it 5 million? 5 million. So so 5 million students, 170 countries, and it doesn't start there. There were lots of other numbers that you mentioned, Bremley, but I wanted to share with you those numbers because all you have to do to work out, to make impact, is all you have to do is make a declaration what your intent is. So Bremley has declared 1 billion trees. So he started with, I'm going to plant 1 billion trees, and then went and engaged with hundreds, thousands, millions of people and organizations. And it sounds like with what you've created next, that you're only like maybe a year or two away from fulfilling on the 1 billion. But another thing you said that I want to highlight is how many trees we need to be planting on a regular basis. It's not like, oh, yay, got to 1 billion. All right, we're done. How many billions a year should we be planting?
To stabilize the planet right now from reaching its tipping point and wiping out the human race from the planet, we need to draw down 30 gigatons of carbon a year. 30 gigatons means 30 billion tons. 30 billion tons, which means we need to plant 30 billion trees every year. 30 billion every year. 1 billion is not enough.
Here's a question. Do we have enough space to plant 30 billion trees on land?
As a human species, we've wiped out 50% of the planet's ecosystem because of the growth of our population. We have wiped out 50% of the planet's vegetation. So there is room, obviously, but we just have to manage the way we plan, where we plan, restore ecosystems, green the deserts, protect the coastline communities, especially people living by the sea. We've chopped down more than 50% of our mangrove shields around the world in the 120 countries. So there is room to restore in 120 countries where we can plant those billions of trees by the sea. Because, you know, Catherine, 70% of the oxygen that we humans breathe and other species breathe on terrestrial ecosystems comes from the ocean. But now the ocean has drawn down too much carbon. There's acidity and all the coral reefs are dying. There are many dead zones in the ocean. So if the ocean collapses, its marine ecosystems die, there will be no more oxygen production from planktons and seaweeds and kelp and seagrass and corals. We will be choked on land, literally choked, because the ocean keeps us alive. The entire jet streams and currents on the planet, the whole climate crisis and emergency will get intensified if the ocean ecosystems and jet stream collapse. The whole climate debate is about oceans and the movement of water on our planet. If those jet streams collapse, we will be, in deep, deep trouble. I mean, this is happening in such a rapid scale that even scientists are going like, oh my God, our models are completely wrong because the feedback loops are hitting us now. It's like, really.
The irony is probably not escaping our viewers that 50 years ago, our biggest fear was that we'd blow the planet up. But actually, the more realistic fear is that we will suffocate ourselves. Literally, we will just stop breathing.
Correct.
Correct. So on that happy note, let's move towards what people can just actually do. Now you are sitting in a demonstration, a physical space demonstrating how you can make a local gym eco-friendly. Tell us a little bit about your gym and how it functions.
Well, this gym is run by my friend and colleague, Michal Homola, who's actually from Slovakia. And I met him about 5 years ago, and we were designing these motorcycle trips in Northeast India. And I said, can I use your gym to host people in London so I can recruit a few riders to come with me for 2 weeks, an adventure trip like motorcycle diaries, Shekvara and his friend going across South America, but this one with impact, using old Royal Enfield bikes that were used in the Second World War as dispatcher bikers, and we would retrace the journey of those dispatcher bikers in the World War II in the theater in Northeast India that not many people know about, because the Japanese soldiers were in Burma, and then the British, the American, the Canadians, the Aussies, the whole entire Commonwealth forces were in my part of the world defending the invasion of the Japanese of British India then. But these bikes were used because there was no walkie-talkies, no cell phones, no mobiles, nothing in those days. So the dispatcher biker's job was to take military intelligence information from one platoon to the other and ride their bikes and dodge sniper fire from the Japanese troops that are hidden on trees. But it's harder to shoot a guy on a bike with a mission and dispatch a biker with a shotgun and ride. So we're trying to recreate history, but stop in different villages, including visit the Commonwealth graves where these soldiers who fought for our freedom lie, and measure the impact of what the riders now would do, retracing their grandparents' legacy and visiting these same villages, whether they are farmers that host us for the night, whether they're tea planters, coffee planters, where there were women weaving handlooms and handicraft and making beautiful ornaments that they could bring back to the UK or the US. So each rider would meet a farmer and connect with them and buy their products and bring it back to their coffee shop in London or take it back to New York, so that the trading could happen on a rider-farmer type of relationship, very organic, on a motorbike, where you're exposed to all the forces of nature. And my friend Mikhail hosted an event in London 5 years ago, and we did our first ride in 2019 after we launched our show from Terra Hail, which means strong earth, and a bunch of riders came from Terra Hail's network, and we've been riding 2 rides, one to the Lake of No Return in Myanmar, and the second ride, we went to the Tiger's Nest in Bhutan. And this year, we're going to go to the eastern Himalayan foothills of Nepal and plant trees all along the way and engage with farmers all along the way and get the riders off their bikes with their hands dirty and work with the communities and learn and keep investing on these entrepreneurs that they've met on their journey. So hence, it's a journey with purpose that we are collaborating with many little NGOs along the route, where each rider can make a difference while having fun. But this gym is a place where we do those call of action and local events. And everybody who's working to do workout in this gym is actually planting trees and also making a difference, because when they spin on those bikes, it's created to a battery system. It's a people-powered gym. When you pedal, you're exercising on your body, but you're also creating energy for the lights of the gym. Everything on the back and the wall is made from recycled wood cladding, which is brought from construction sites. The floor is all made from recycled truck tires. So are the dumbbells. The place where I'm sitting, this a bench press is made from recycled leather. Even the boxing gloves are made from recycled leather. And we're trying to put solar panels and wind turbines so we can power the entire gym from clean energy. So
amazing.
It's called Strong Earth because it's about taking care of your mind, body, and soul, fighting for the planet while keeping your body fit, and also making a difference to plant trees and go to these exploratory projects that Terra Hail is taking riders who are part of the gym.
I love it. So, citizen changemakers, so far you have 2 options for planting trees with Bremley. You can ride a motorbike and go physically do it. Yes. You can come to Terra Hail in London and ride and exercise. But Bremley, we even have a third option for viewers. What is the third option that if they can't do either of those options?
Well, the third option is to download this app called Help Steps and help us raise money by walking every day or running every day wherever you are on the planet, and send those steps to us for free. You just donate your steps. Whether you run 10,000 steps a day or 20,000 steps a day, it doesn't matter. Every day you donate those steps, and you just have to watch a few Google ads because it's a free app, right? And then the Google Analytics converts it to dollars or euros or pounds, and then we get to buy bricks and mortar and cement and sand to build our little school in Northeast India, where we're supporting little kids that belong to very poor indigenous farmers in the highlands. So we need to raise 10,000 pounds, about $15,000. And the journey is already started. but we've just raised about £2,000. So we need to raise another £8,000 to complete 4 classrooms in a very remote school. And we are teaching these kids agriculture in a classroom. It's about building climate resilience from a very early age to grow food in your own campus and practice sustenance and cook your own food in a very nutritious way, and also plant trees on campus while educating yourself of how you can fight climate change locally wherever you are on Earth by lowering your carbon footprint, eating locally, eating organic, taking care of your soils, planting trees from an early age of 5 to 10. Early childhood education. So we need your support to send your steps once you've downloaded this Help Steps app, which you can also start your own campaign. And we need 1 billion steps. And so far, we've reached 17 million steps. So we still have a long way to go. We're just about reaching 2%, because when we hit 20 million steps, that will be 2%. And we still have another 98% to go to hit 1 billion steps.
I can say I've personally donated about 200,000 steps. So I just want people I just want people to understand this.
Yeah.
You walk every day anyway.
Walk your talk. Yeah.
Any way you walk.
Yeah.
So you might as well just download Help Steps and just push a few buttons every day so that your steps are going to raise money for a school and education and planting trees. So it's pretty much a no-brainer. The link is in the description here. So download Help Steps. If you have any problems, connect with myself or Bremley. We'll walk you through it. We'll help you with the help steps. And Bremley, my goodness, from the bottom of my heart, it has been such a joy talking to you and hearing. I feel like I've been lifted up. I feel like you've taken us, we're like hovering above the earth to really see and understand all of the different dynamics that are happening right now. But also you've grounded us in terms of what each and every one of us can do. There's so much. So just pick what works for you.
No cost at all. You're just walking every day. There's 20,000 people sending us 10,000 steps a day. Well, we'll hit 1 billion steps in no time. Yeah. And talk about why coming on board on Future TV, because I always listen to reason, and I'm so inspired by Eleanor Roosevelt, who has this very special quote saying, the future belongs to those who believe in the future, on their dreams. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. I'm a crazy dreamer. I have all these crazy things that I see in my dreams, and I try to make them come true. I don't know when my time will be up, but at least I want to leave a legacy that if I have to go tomorrow, I've lived my life with the fullest, and I've done my best while I'm still on Earth, and I go with a smile, and I leave 1 billion trees on Earth for generations to come, because those trees will continue to live way beyond my time on this planet.
So that's a perfect place to end. Keep dreaming, everyone, and keep taking steps, moving you closer to fulfilling those dreams. We're here dreaming along, walking along with you. So have a great day. Bremley, thanks again. We'll see you real soon. Bye.
Signing out.